Hey, so I got this question from one of my subscribers. Says, Roy, how do you find the person who makes decisions to hire copywriters? Their contact info, name, title, etc. Thanks, Frank. These can be hard questions to answer because this is a very like 101, business 101 type question, right? So you want to know the title of the people who hires copywriter, of the person who hires copywriters. Okay. I understand that is something that you have to learn at some point, but it's also something that it's not that hard to find. And frankly, every time I get a question like this and I answer it, I get a little bit of a hard time from one of my mentors because he says, and this comes from a lot of experience hiring people for marketing and sales positions. He says, if you want marketing and sales position, if you want a career in marketing and sales, I really have to question your ability if you have to answer a question as simple as like, who is my target market, right? That said, I open wide the door to let my subscribers ask me questions. And when I do that, I recognize that some of the people that come in are going to come in with a question that reflects a lot more experience and sophistication and is going to be very specific to their higher level of experience and sophistication. And also a lot of people, especially because I tend to ask this fairly early to my subscribers, a lot of people are going to come in with much less experience and sophistication and understanding. And so yeah, I'm going to get questions like this. And if I'm going to ask the question, I should at least do my very best to try to answer the question in as valuable of a way as possible. So hopefully I can make it valuable for you. So I actually have kind of three different layers to my answer here. And the first is that I believe in, and I absolutely highly recommend that you practice top-down selling. So if you imagine a corporate hierarchy, right? There's all the people at the bottom who are kind of the lowest level, entry-level jobs or frontline jobs. And then there's management in the middle. And at the top, there tends to be like the owner, the CEO, the corporate decision makers, right? The people who are deciding vision and strategy for the entire company. And the people down at the bottom are the easiest to get a hold of. The people at the top tend to be the hardest to get a hold of, but they're also the people who make the decisions. They're also the people who end up signing the checks, right? And it is very hard if you want to get in at a company to work your way from the bottom to the top. They're the easiest people to contact, but every step of the way trying to move your way up towards the ultimate decision maker, you are going to run into a situation where this junior employee has to recommend you to their supervisor. And the supervisor has to decide, does this junior employee have the credibility, the believability to help me decide if this service provider is somebody that we should work with? And I can tell you with 100% certainty, having worked in jobs like that in the past in marketing, it is really hard to push a recommendation up the ladder. Now, let's flip that around. And if you deal with the person who's at the top, even if they are not the person that hires copywriters, even if they're not the person that hires whatever skill you do, if you can get that person to have at least some level of attention on you, interest in you, and that person knows whoever in their organization would be most appropriate to speak with, that person passing you down is going to almost immediately get acted on. There's going to be some level of connection almost immediately. And so the you want to aim for the top and get pushed down if necessary, and not aim for the bottom and try to work your way up, because your selling job will be so much easier. And I mentioned like the person who signs the check. At this point, the only person that I will work with on a team as a primary contact, primary decision maker is the person who signs that check. And so I always want to work with the decision maker. I always want to work with the person who's able to make a decision and sign the check that is involved with any work that I'm going to deliver to them because of the same thing, like pass down versus pass up, top down versus bottom up. That person is so much easier to work with. And, I've had experiences where they've tried to pass me down before I actually got the gig, and it just never worked out. And it's almost impossible to close a sale if you're not talking to a decision maker. And now, once I'm involved in the project, I will often speak with many members of the team. So there can be a project manager, there can be different people on the creative team, there can be like the voice of the promotions, there are all sorts of people, right? But in terms of decision making about the project and my engagement with the company, I always go top down, and I'm looking to work with people who can sign the check, people who can approve the project. So let's talk about finding the title. This is section 2 of this. So first things first, in a more entrepreneurial business, a smaller business, more of like a startup, this is going to be the owner, the CEO, the founder, the partner. Like it's going to be somebody who was one of the original people on the team. And even as a business grows to a couple dozen employees, oftentimes most personnel decisions, including outside contractors, have to go through that person. So you might as well reach out to them directly. Owner, CEO, founder, partner. Like in an entrepreneurial business, that's who you are aiming for. Now, as the business grows, there tends to be more of a structure. And the important point in the business's development is when the business brings on someone in a role that it can be a president, it can be a chief marketing officer, it can be a VP of marketing or a director of marketing or a director of acquisitions, something like that. As the business grows, they add on a layer of decision makers for the different parts of the business. And so if the business has grown to that point, you're still probably better off connecting with the owner or CEO in the beginning, but you may have to drop down to the chief marketing officer or this other like executive marketing title. In certain direct response businesses where there is actually like where the business is completely focused on copywriting and there's a copy department, you may actually find that connecting with someone who's called a copy chief or creative director or copy director, they may be the person to work with. So they may actually have a title like that where they get to decide on recruiting. But that's the person that you're looking to connect with. If you are working with an agency, and I don't recommend traditional agencies for most copywriters who follow my work, because traditional agencies tend not to have a super high value placed on copywriters versus more direct response companies. But there are agencies that focus on like buying Facebook ads or buying Google ads or doing other kinds of media buying for their clients. And those agencies might be more direct response focused, and they might be more likely to value copywriters at a higher level. In which case, like if you want to work with it, and frankly, like one of my last client engagements was with a company that would largely be considered an agency, and they worked with all these other people in the business, and working with them, I worked with an agency, right? So even as I say, don't work with an agency, there are exceptions. So in an agency, again, owners or partners are great people to aim for in working with an agency, or perhaps there's a creative director, somebody who's specifically in charge of creative for clients. And so looking for the owner or the creative director. But again, like when I think about this, I think that in any given business today, these titles aren't official. Like, yeah, maybe some data sources try to fit people into different titles, but these titles are often decided by the people at the company. And in a lot of smaller creative businesses, titles are whatever meaning is given to them. And so they could be called the big kahuna for all we know. And if that means that they make all the decisions and write all the checks, fine, then you want to reach out to the big kahuna. Or, who knows what the title would be. The point being, really what you're looking for is the person who's the decision maker, the person who signs the check for people who are outside contractors in the marketing department. Now, as for finding their specific name and contact information, clearly like that's as wide open as the number of businesses on the planet or the number of businesses that you might approach. What I would recommend to you is to number one, you can look on social media. Pretty much everybody has a LinkedIn account these days who's in business, and especially if they're looking to be approached for marketing purposes or for connecting with service providers, they probably are going to have some level of LinkedIn presence. So you can look on social media, you can look on LinkedIn, you may find them in certain Facebook groups or other social media channels. Use your freaking Google skills. I mean, I'm sorry, but if you Google, like if you are in marketing and sales, you should be good at using Google. And you should use Google to answer questions that you may have otherwise in a different era relied on some outside data source to provide to you. So if you wanted to look up VP of marketing of XYZ company, one of the quickest ways that you can find that, even if you're going to end up on LinkedIn, one of the quickest ways that you can find that is by typing it into Google, and it's going to point you towards the most relevant result. And then there are paid data services that verify all the contact information and make it easy, and they can really shortcut your process of finding out who is in the company and what their titles are and what their contact information is. And so services like Uplead, I'll include a link in the description to that. Like all of these are potential sources of the specific name and contact information once you know kind of who you're looking for and that you want to aim for the top and the highest title relevant to marketing or ownership of the company. And so check that out. Now, just knowing this information is probably not enough to actually like make your copywriting career. Like we think, oh, if I'm just talking to the right person, I'm going to get all the clients that I need. And that's totally not true. You actually need to have a much more complete approach to getting clients. And, if you're at this stage of your business where you're asking questions like this, I would check out, I have a free mini course on launching your client business. I'll include a link in the description here to that mini course that goes through kind of the basic fundamentals of what you need to have in place and what you need to do to get your first few clients. And once you have that framework, it makes even being able to look up the specific contact person at these different businesses, it makes it a lot more fruitful. And so I encourage you to check that out. Yeah. So my name is Roy Furr. This has been a video issue of Breakthrough Marketing Secrets talking about who hires copywriters, like their contact info, name, title, etc. Right? Except for obviously I can't completely just give that to you. And I wouldn't, because I wouldn't put that information in a public video for my clients because I respect their time and I don't want them to be bombarded with a bunch of people who are not qualified beyond just Googling for, a video. So you'll have to find the best clients for you, and you'll have to figure out the best person at those clients to reach out to. And I would encourage you to do that using this video and the resources that I link you to. So again, my name is Roy Furr for Breakthrough Marketing Secrets. Let me know in the comments below on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this. It's an introductory lesson. It's like 101, right? But you may have found it extremely valuable. So let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how valuable you found this and why. What's your big takeaway, your big action item from here? Tap that like button before you go so you get more content like this delivered to you, and so the magical algorithms of the internet will share it with more people like you who will find it valuable. You can certainly share it with folks directly, and subscribe before you go. You can subscribe here. Also, one more link in the description to breakthroughmarketingsecrets.com where you'll get my daily emails Monday through Friday, including these videos and more exclusive subscriber content, including, for example, that Launch Your Client Business course was released to email subscribers first. Hey, I always aim for that 10 out of 10 value. I hope that I've delivered it here, and I look forward to seeing you again in your next video. I'll see you soon. Bye.